Okay. Do you know what your viewer appreciation? We're going to mix things up a little bit tonight. Viewer appreciation,
Yeah.
Grips.
Yeah.
We're going to do a couple different things, okay?
Yeah.
When we come back on, you know what you're going to say? Who is? Who's on alert? Gino? You get to jump on your lap like last week?
No, lay down, Gene. Yeah, I know what we're going to do.
Okay. It's 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I have to begin the show. Okay?
Yeah.
What did I do here? Oh, I think I had the voice off when we were talking about all that just now. Anyway, we got to get...
This is Scott Burnworth, and you're watching... This is Scott Burnworth, and you're watching Vintage... MX. This is Scott Burnworth.
Hi, I'm Debbie Burnworth. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't forget...
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Abbate. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Alongside me tonight, as she has been alongside me for 38 tempestuous years now, Susie, baby.
Tempestuous?
Yeah, tempestuous. Everything going okay there?
Hello, everyone.
Everything okay?
Everything's great.
What are you giving away tonight?
Well, I'm giving away an AMSOIL telescopic light, hoojiggy, whatever.
You know, you got to get ready with the props, man. You should have had that thing extended and all lit up. All right, go on. No, it's okay.
I'm giving grips away.
Yeah.
And stickers.
Stickers.
Yep.
All right, Susie, baby.
All right.
We will do that throughout the show. Everybody, don't forget to keep sharing the show. You know, there's never a good place to do this. So I decided to do this at the top of the show. We were all shocked last Friday when we awoke to the news that Scott Burnworth had passed away at his home in Yumul, California. Scott, of course, a staple in vintage motocross, doing so much to help promote this sport throughout Southern California, between races, reunions, and so much more, along with his beautiful wife, Debbie. Scott, one of the most gentle souls you would ever meet, a soft-spoken gentleman, but behind that, a fierce competitor. 1980 Rookie of the Year on the 125s, and he was the vice champion in 1983 aboard the 250. Scott, of course, had a factory ride with Yamaha as well as Suzuki. I think that Rita Ruth Gregory said it the best when she said this shy young boy that humbly came to our facility for photo shoot surprisingly became so important to vintage racing. And he kept our history alive through the Carlsbad reunion that there will be a lasting void to those of us who knew him. He and Debbie Burnworth were a team that cared so much, not just for the sport, but for the people in the sport. I will truly miss this sweet and fast man. Couldn't have said it better. Rita, there is, of course, a GoFundMe project happening on Facebook. You'll be able to find that on Scott's page, on Debbie Burnworth's page, as well as many other pages and people who shared it. If you can't find it, get a hold of me, and we'll make sure you get right to where you need to be for the GoFundMe project. Now, behind me to my left, right here. Where is it? See these two hats right here? These two AMSOIL hats. These are beautiful embroidered hats given to us by Russell Waters from AMSOIL. Also, next to Susie over here, she's got one back there. See it back there? Red, white, and blue, beautiful checkered flag. These are embroidered hats. Really, really nice stuff, okay? There's another one right here. It's got some flame on it. Really nice from AMSOIL. Here's what I'm going to do. To anybody that donates to the GoFundMe project, the Burner GoFundMe project, I will send you a hat, compliments of AMSOIL and Vintage Motocross Q&A. Make it sizable, guys. I'm not telling you what to donate. Any amount will be appreciated, but heaven forbid it was me or you and our wives had to pay for some expenses, okay? Make a donation, let me know about it, and I will get you some hats, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A and AMSOIL, the Burner, a good friend, a husband, and a dad. We will miss you so much, Scott Burnworth. Vintage Motocross Q&A is brought to you by our sponsors, Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro. ReplicaMotorcycleBars.com, Sirius Studios, Vintco, Full Circle Racing, Preston Petty Products, and Amsoil. And don't forget, if you want to be a supporter of the show, like these fabulous people right here, get a hold of me. We'll get you some Amsoil products. You'll get a shirt, and you'll get your name up on the board behind me like you see right here, okay? I think we got a little special going on yet from Russell Waters from Amsoil. For $49.95, if you want a shirt and 4 products from Amsoil, simply type in the comment section below, I'll take the Amsoil special. I'll take the Amsoil special. We'll get you a Vintage Motocross Q&A shirt, get your name up on the board, and 4 products from Russell Waters. Sirius Studios. Great products for off-track. Just that casual gear, quality. Lets the crowd know that you're into moto, but without screaming and flames and skulls and all that other crossbones and stuff that we normally see on a lot of the gear. Get over to SiriusStudio.co. The York Swap Meet. All the booths are sold out. I heard from Bill Nazelrod today. All the booths are sold out at the York Swap Meet. I will be there on January 12th. There will also be a wonderful dinner the night before put on by the Potomac Vintage Riders with special guest Larry Meyer. And the moderator for that Q&A session with Larry Meyer will be the great Jack Penton. Be sure to get there to see that. But if you are looking to get a booth, it's too late. And don't be one of those bottom feeders that parks outside and stills up out of the back of your truck, okay? If you want to make a donation to the show here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, go over to, there's a link in our show description. You go to PayPal and you can make a donation. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Put it on your page, share it on some of your friends' pages or in some of your groups. We would appreciate that very much. As Susie said, we're giving away some grips, but we're not giving away the grips to the viewer appreciation person. We're going to give them away to the Moto Showcase bike. The viewer appreciation person is going to get that telescopic magnetic shop light compliments of Russell Waters and Amsoil. Okay? The next time to try this segment is just a second away, and I'm going to be running that video for you. Let's take a look at what my tip is.
About spray paint, where you should do it, what you should look for when you're doing a job. Now, a lot of people, whether you're an amateur or you're some of your professional guys too, use paint out of an aerosol can like this. It's not a bad thing. What you have to look out for is where you're doing your painting. Many people want to paint outside in the sunlight. That's a great idea. What's bad about it is that the sun, if it's very hot where you are, can dry the paint too quickly. Paint has thinner in it just like it does out of a professional spray gun. The thinner starts to dry, the paint dries too quickly, and you're going to get a brittle finish. Also, what can happen there is you're going to get a rough finish at sometimes. The paint dries too quickly, and you'll get a bit of a rough finish. Sometimes what you'll be tempted to do is to keep going over it, thinking you're making it better, when in reality, you're not. You're just making those little bumps much bigger when it starts to dry. And when you get done and it does dry, you have a bit of a rough finish. But adversity is opportunity, and I'm going to tell you how to remedy that. You're not going to have to be too concerned next time your paint job doesn't come out too good. All it takes is a simple bucket of water like this and a piece of 400 or 600 wet or dry sandpaper. You're going to wrap the paper around the sponge like this, dip it in water, and this is good for 2 reasons. Number one, the sponge is of course going to absorb the water. It'll keep your paper wet a little bit longer. Number two, it'll prevent you from pushing down too hard on your material or your part that's already painted and removing too much paint. When you're done, what you're going to do is dry that piece off again, and you're going to spray it again with the same paint you used the first time in a well-lit area, but keep out of direct sunlight. And that's the way you're going to get a really, really nice paint job, just like this one right here.
The next time try this segment is brought to you, of course, by Vintco. Keep the ride going. We're going to be right back after this word from our sponsor, Vintco.
I'm Don Kadowski, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't go anywhere.
Vintco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Ventco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Ventco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Ventco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Ventco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
The Vinco special, of course, are sleeves. They got sleeves for CR250s, for Hondas, for Huskies, for Suzukis, for just about everything. That is a 2-stroke engine. Be sure to get over there to Vinco.com. And don't forget, when you order something and it's over $200, you get free USPS priority shipping. That's at Vinco.com. I want to thank Durfs for re-upping their sponsorship with us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Fred Hudgens, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And you know what? Fred is not only a good supporter of the show, he has purchased a lot of shirts from Susie's for Durfs. If you're looking for shirts, I don't know why we haven't thought of this before. If you're looking for shirts, why don't you give us a call? Susie makes them right here in the shop, okay? Small batches, though. You're not going to get like 1,000 shirts. How many shirts did you make for Durfs, Suze?
43.
43? But that's the second time you made some shirts for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who else have you made some shirts for? Anybody else? Any other?
I made shirts for somebody else.
I thought you made shirts for another sponsor of ours. I know you made them for Durst, and I know you made them for some events that we have been invited to and that we have been going to. So if anybody out there is looking for shirts to be made, small batches, maybe 25, 50, get a hold of us. Susie will be able to make them for you. You send her the artwork, she'll make your shirt, and you're going to love it. All right. In the meantime, if you want to buy some hats, mugs, and things like that from us, we would appreciate that as well. The What's It Worth segment tonight, brought to you by Full Circle Racing. This is, of course, a segment of the show where I invite you, the viewers at home, to guess how much you think this bike recently sold for. Whoever gets closest without going over will get 2 Vintage Motocross Q&A stickers just like this, which we make here as well. All right? Tonight's bike is the 1979 Honda CR125 Elsinore. The bike has been refurbished. It's reported to have work done, including powder coating the frame in red. It has a fitting of a new seat. That's exactly what it says here, the fitting of a new seat, with a replacement cover and foam, installing a replacement aluminum tank. They changed the fork oil. They overhauled the key and carburetor, as well as overboring the 124cc 2-stroke engine. They installed a Wiseco 40 oversized piston and replaced the bearings and seals. I find this very, very interesting. Consider this bike has a chrome barrel, but I digress. The bike is also equipped with a 5-speed transmission, a kickstarter, an aftermarket expansion chamber, exhaust system, leading axle fork, box air shocks, rear dampers, magnesium drum brake. It's got a 21-inch front wheel, which it normally came with a 23. It's got an 18-inch rear wheel. It's got high-mounted fenders, Renthal bars. The bike was acquired by the seller in 2024. Also, along with this package is this this right here, all this extra parts, ignition, a head, a cylinder, all comes with it. And something I wanted to point out to you, you ever hear the expression, you got to get your head on straight? Well, if you look closely here, you'll see that the head on this bike is actually on backwards. See that? Anyway, the rest of the hardware has been replaced, not with original stuff, but it does look nice. Here's a good picture of the forks. The rims look pretty tidy. I don't think the spokes are replaced. I wouldn't call it a restoration. The tank looks nice from both sides, no question about it. Here's a good shot from the right side. This bike sold in Florida on Bring a Trailer. None of the hardware was done. Some of the things, there was something else that bothered me here. It felt like the worst thing in the world, but the axle's going through the wrong way. It should have the nut on this side. I see that the chain adjusters are all the way out, which means probably the chain is at the shortest length. And I can tell that by the way this chain adjuster is all the way up on the swing arm. Also, I don't know what's happening here with this nut for the threaded rod on the actuator. It's all the way forward. That spring should be back. Look, a couple of little odds and ends, but the bike overall looked like a nice piece. And I like this cone pipe as well. So how much do you think this bike recently sold for? Susie, you're watching the board?
I am.
How much, guys? $2,500? Come on, get tight wad. 35? $5,000. This bike sold on Bring a Trailer for $4,100 plus a 5% buyer's fee. So jacked it up another couple of $100. Let's call it $4,350. $43.50. Who got closest without going over? Anybody, Suze?
Yeah, wait a minute. 43.50?
$43.50. Let's call it $43.50 without going over. They get 2 stickers.
43, 40.
You let me know who it is, and we will announce that the moment you let me know. All right?
Joe Noddington, Jen.
Who, Joe?
Joe had 42.50.
Joe Nottingham at $42.50. All right, Joe Nottingham, you are the winner tonight of the 2 stickers. Get us your mailing address. We will get you 2 Vintage Motocross Q&A stickers, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A. That segment is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Be sure to see my buddy Tom McAllister, on-road, off-road, dual sport, Yamaha, Honda, Husky, Husqvarna, Suzuki, Mako, you name it. If it runs on 2 wheels and has spokes, you want to get a hold of Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. We're going to take a little break right now and hear from our friend Full Circle Racing, and we'll be back with a little bit more from Vintage Motocross Q&A. Also, we'll have an announcement for you next week about what is happening with our Christmas show, and it's going to be a New Year's show the week after that. We'll talk about that.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why.
When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
Thank you, Jerry Maddox and Tom McAllister from Full Circle Racing. I also want to thank another one of our sponsors and Big Show supporters, Sunrise Vapor Blasting. All right, thank you, Mark Farriester. There's only one clean, okay? There's only one clean. After that, there are degrees of dirty. It's never going to be cleaner when you send it to Mark Farriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Get the address. He has a website. He also has a Facebook page. 1-day turnaround time. Prices are incredible. I'm sorry, not Tom McAllister, Mark Farriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. There was something else going on here. Oh, yeah, this, really cool. You know, Supercross season is just about upon us, and who wouldn't want to go to the Supercross in Arizona? You can win a trip for 2 to the Arizona Supercross, and all you have to do is go over to the WSMCHOF, which, of course, stands for the Washington State Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Get some tickets, $20, 2 for $50. You and your beloved spouse or whoever you decided to take with you are going to get 2 tickets and airfare and a one-night stay for the Arizona Supercross. I don't think you could beat that, right? Tom McAllister, a guy that gives a lot back to the sport of motocross. Where were we? We talked about, here's the problem. Here's the problem. This week is brought to you by Motion Pro. Be sure to visit them online at motionpro.com. And that 20% off special is still rolling right through Christmas. When you get there and you check out, put in MP9135. That's MP9135. 20% off everything at Motion Pro except custom-made cables. This week's question comes in from James Sharp. James says, Joe, I got a question for the show. Perhaps it's not a great one. Has any MX bike ever been as impactful as the 1974 Honda CR125 Elsinore? If so, which model and why? Merry Christmas to you and your family. Yeah, it was a bike that was more impactful than the 1974 Honda CR125. You know what it was? The 1974 Honda CR250 Elsinore. Absolutely incredible bike. It had it all over all the European bikes as far as fit and finish, as far as reliability, and a new way for people to get involved in the upcoming sport and the ever-growing sport at that point of motocross. You know, it was the late 60s. We started to have some scrambles. We started to have some things happening in the United States. We had the Inter-Am. The AMA created, of course, the 500cc Nationals, the 250cc Nationals. In 1974, 1975, it was the perfect storm. All those kids that were out there riding JT1s and Mini Enduros and XR75, 14, 15 years old, they all wanted to race. It was all over the place. It was happening, and they were lining up in droves on Honda CR 125s. The bigger guys, they went after the 250s. They were a little bit tired of the agricultural CZs, the dependability issues on some of the Makos and some of the other bikes too. Look, there were a handful. I'm not picking out one over the other. But Honda gave you reliability and at an incredible price. So no, I cannot, James Sharp, think of anybody at any time that came up with a better bike than the Honda CR 250 Elsinore. What are we doing now? Oh, we got a special still going on from Motion Pro. We got a grip thing happening over there. And they got gray, they got black, they got all different kinds. And, you know, there's still 20% off too. So get over to Motion Pro and get the 20% off on the discount. And look, you're going to do nothing but save money when you get over there and you go to Vinco. We will be back in just a moment, right after we hear from our sponsor.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Christmas is just around the corner. Get over to the internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. There are hats, shirts, clocks, posters. There are more gifts over there for your motocross guy or gal than you can shake a stick at. If you saw the other day on Facebook, Terry Good had posted something while he was in his garage and he was moving around with his camera looking at some of the Roger DeCoster collection, some of the RN 75s, 76s, and so on. During that video, he well, not during the video, but he did make an announcement with that in writing that he and I would be putting together an International Motocross Museum YouTube page. And we will be taking a close look at all the parts from hollowed out triple clamps to magnesium trick parts to wheels that cost thousands of dollars a piece and so much, much more from the International Motocross Museum. If there's ever a show that should be presented from any place, it would be at the International Motocross Museum, where people could see truly the rarest of the rarest bikes in the world and the one that made the most impact on the Grand Prix circuit. At the International Motocross Museum. Keep an eye open for that YouTube channel from me and Terry Good. In the Moto Showcase tonight, we're going to be giving away some grips tonight to our buddy Vince Powers, who sent in this really nice 78 YZ125. So normally we give away something else, but tonight I'm going to make sure that I see to it, Vince, that you get a nice set of grips, compliments of Preston Petty Products. Joe, sending in a few photos of my vintage YC that I restored to original for your consideration. This bike is very dilapidated condition, and when I received it in 2016, a friend was helping his buddy clean out a barn, and this bike was going to be thrown away. Knowing that I like vintage dirt bikes, my friend rescued it for me and brought it over one evening when my wife wasn't looking. Oh, have we all been there or what? I decided immediately that I was going to take the challenge and do a full ground up restoration on it, and to the truest sense and of the word, returning the bike to original showroom condition. As a teen in the late 70s, I coveted the monoshock YZ with Yamaha introduced the aluminum swing arms on their production bikes in 1978. Of course, like many followers of this hobby, it's simply unable to afford one of these bikes at that time. When I received this bike, I decided to take on the challenge and do a full ground up restoration. This commitment consumed 3 years of my life, costing thousands of dollars, and tested my patience at every turn. The list of NOS parts I hunted down is a long one, I can assure you. Well, Vince, you look like you've done an absolutely beautiful job here. And Vince continues, this commitment consumed 3 years of my life. He mentioned that as a restoration artist yourself, I'm sure you can appreciate the effort and skill required to make this happen. I've included only photos I have of the bike at this time. So I hope it's enough, and I hope your crowd enjoys the story. Vince, I enjoyed the story, and you did an absolutely phenomenal job bringing that bike back to life. I love the fit and finish and the details down to the stickers. The satin finish on the engine and pipe is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, when you look at it here and you look at that swing arm, look at the swing arm in this picture. It's obvious that you took the time to strip everything down, re-anodize it, and bring this bike back to a showpiece. We are going to get you some grips, compliments of Preston Petty Products and Paul Stannard. Have you seen the latest from Preston Petty Products and Paul Stannard? That's that rear tail light and license plate holder. Very durable, hooks right up to your Preston Petty. I want to call it cordless, but it's not cordless. But it has a battery. And you hook it all up, and you don't have to wire it to your bike, and it's just an amazing thing, okay? The York Swap Meet is coming up. You heard me talk about it before. All the booths are sold out. So you want to get, you want to get there and bring some money with you, because you could probably wind up really saving a lot. A lot of vendors, they're going to want to get that stuff moving. They're not going to want to take it home, okay? So bring your money, get over to the York Swap Meet, and we'll be able to, you'll be able to cut some really, really good deals there. I also want to mention one other thing here. The Sirius Studio. I just love the stuff from Sirius Studio. I've got a shirt that I wear all the time. I'm looking to order more stuff from SiriusStudio.com. They've got a new spokesman that is going to be hitting the airwaves pretty soon. Our brother in Christ, Trey Kennard. Excellent guy, an accomplished racer, and just a wonderful human being overall. So, SiriusStudio.co. Jeff Kokoski, he's back, and this week he has another Did You Know segment. He's a little follow-up on the Dunlop story from just a couple of, I think from last week, actually. Let's see what Jeff's got cooking for us today. Did You Know segment is brought to you by Jeff Kokoski. Did you know? In our first segment about Dunlop tires, we talked about how the company came about in the late 1880s from an Irishman named John Boyd Dunlop. And he built the first pneumatic tire for his son's tricycle at that time. Although J.D. Dunlop sold the majority of his shares in 1895, the business continued on using the name and eventually was called Dunlop Rubber. After World War I, demand for tires in Europe fell sharply as the continent struggled to rebuild after the war. Although the American auto industry was on the rise, the tire manufacturers in Akron easily fed the auto factories in Detroit. By 1920, the price of rubber had collapsed and Dunlop struggled with quality control problems, leading to a loss of about 8 million pounds, which today is $600 million. It was 1922 when British businessman Sir Eric Geddes was appointed chairman of the company. Geddes had a background in railways, served as head of the British military transportation on the Western Front during the Great War. After the war, he became Britain's Minister of Transport, where he was known for imposing deep spending cuts. At that time, he was the right man for the job, and he did turn around the Dunlop Rubber Company. By 1928, only 72% of the company's revenue was related to tires, compared to 90% in 1920. At the end of the decade, Dunlop Rubber had manufacturing subsidiaries in the U.S., Canada, France, Germany, even South Africa, and Japan, securing an equal market share once again to their rival, Michelin of France. In the 1930s, Dunlop patented then began manufacturing latex foam under the name Dunlopillo. The foam is used in mattresses and still is in production today. During the lead up to World War II, Dunlop began making joystick components for British Spitfires that were soon to be used during the Battle of Britain. As the British war machine once again ramped up, the need for tires and rubber products once again exploded, and by the end of the war, Dunlop Rubber employed 70,000 employees and had sales offices in nearly every country in the world. In 1948, Dunlop invented the self-sealing tire. Shortly thereafter, it developed the anti-lock braking system and even had things such as you see here in this picture, a pair of rubber swim fins. Because of its product diversification, the company remained profitable through the 50s and 60s, and at the time, Dunlop Aquafort then even developed a line of swimming gear, dry suits, wetsuits, weight belts, snorkels, even fins, as we see here in the picture. By 1970, the company employed 102,000 people worldwide and was the 35th largest corporation in the world outside of the United States. Those also changed their name from Dunlop Rubber to the now familiar Dunlop, as only 60% of the business was focused on tire production. In 1971, Dunlop merged with Pirelli in Italy to become one of the world's largest tire companies after American Goodyear and Firestone. But the merger was a short venture. Instead, it was a takeover, and it proved to be disastrous, eventually dissolving the merger in just 10 years. Through the next decade, amid a wave of confusing corporate changes, BTR sold off and reconfigured most of the Dunlop division. The remaining tire side of the business had been sold to Sumitomo, now sold to Apollo Tires in India in 2006. Apollo Tires never really fully committed to the Dunlop brand and sold most of the tire product to Sumitomo by the late year 2013. After a brief partnership in Goodyear, from 1997 to 2015, Sumitomo and Goodyear cross-branded the Dunlop name, but today, Sumitomo Rubber Industries, now called Sumitomo Rico, controls the Dunlop auto truck and motorcycle brand. Although the Dunlop Pneumatic Tire Company no longer exists as a corporate entity, the Dunlop name lives in a number of Dunlop brands, including automotive, aerospace, industrial, and sporting goods around the world. I want to thank Jeff Kokoski for bringing us that segment of Did You Know, Part 2 of Dunlop Rubber. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Kokoski, I want to thank you again for bringing that Dunlop story to us. Very, very interesting with the swimming fins and so many other products that were made of rubber. In the meantime, I think we got a giveaway winner here. Susie, you got anybody for your viewer appreciation prize this week?
I do, Mike Fry.
Mike Fry? Mike Fry, you are this week's viewer appreciation winner, Mike Fry.
It's the Amsoil telescopic magnet light.
Show me how that thing works. Put that phone down, open that thing up, twist that thing on the front. Let me see how it works. Oh, you are a genius, Sue. Beautiful. I love that thing.
Pretty cool, right?
I like that. You got like a little dominatrix thing going on there when you open up that little whip like that. You know what I mean?
Use this for something in my office.
Oh, I'm sure you could. Anyway, that's it. Mike Fry, you are the winner of the light. And Vince.
Oh, he has something interesting to say, too, about that.
Who did?
Mike Fry, about that motor showcase bike,
About the Yamaha?
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
Something about, I lost the feed. But he said something about maybe it's on backwards because it would have hit the pipe or something like that.
Oh, not the Moto Showcase bike. You're talking about the What's It Worth bike where the guy actually had the cylinder head, right. Not the cylinder, but just the head on backwards. Here's a picture of it.
Yeah, so he said, well, maybe it's that way because it would have hit.
No, the way he has it on there right now, it's going to hit the fin on the back. It's backward. It should be the other way where the fins are lower at the back. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what he said, Mike.
That's what he said. All right, look, we're going to take a break. We are going to hear from ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com, and we'll be back right after this message.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. It carries the #1 plate in the US. So let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. Seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then on this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike and stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg, so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175s, and this is a real trick aluminum Kickstarter arm. So that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else. Reliability.
Might want to stay for this. All right, there you have it from replicamotorcycleparts.com. And you know what? They've got some great, here, look at this. See this? One of the most, the part that really gets a beating on a Honda CR125, the Kickstarter, all right? A very high use, high wear part. And whether it's the Kickstarter knuckle or that shouldered bolt that goes in there or the shouldered nut that goes underneath, all of it wears out, gets bent, and it causes, it just gets worse, okay? Get over to replicamotorcycleparts.com. You will find everything you need, including the Kickstarter itself, from replicamotorcycleparts.com. Now, something hit me today, and I wanted to share it with you. It's kind of a funny story, and I'm just going to take a minute because something just triggered a memory in me, and I thought I would share it with you tonight. Back in 1974, 1975, I was a kid living in Jeffersonville, New York, tiny little town about an hour and a half north of New York City, 2 hours south of Unadilla. I was working at a supermarket during the day after school, and I would work there on Saturdays, but during the summertime, I would work at the supermarket all day, and I would pump gas at night in the same town. I was racing motorcycles at the time, or at least I was practicing, and I had a bike, and you couldn't take those milk crates, right? We were always told not to take those milk crates. Anyway, I had a milk crate, and I also discovered that these 1 gallon jugs, 4 of them fit perfectly in a milk case. So what would I do is I would take the 4 gallons like this when they were empty, wash them all out, put them in the milk crate. At my nighttime job, when I went to pump gas, I would fill up 4 gallons on a Saturday night, a gallon or 2 for the race on Sunday or me riding, and a couple of gallons during the week for me to practice. And it was absolutely wonderful. I just enjoyed, you got to remember, the cortex is not fully developed, the cranium, stuff like that. I like putting the oil in here, 32-to-1, whatever it was, fill it up with gas. All 4 gallons fit neatly in that crate. And I'm a little AC/DC like that, or whatever you call, what do you call that? I'm not AC/DC. What's the other thing called? When you want to see things neat. Anyway, I got the gallons, okay? But here's the thing. I could never find a funnel that would fit into my YZ tank. Now, this has the same opening on it as 72, 73, 74, 5, and 6 Yamahas. This happens to be a 75 MX 400B tank. Well, one day when I was pouring this into the top of this tank, I discovered that these threads on this 1 gallon were the exact same threads that were in the gas tank. Okay? So that's what I made. I made myself a funnel out of one of those gallons. And it stayed in the tank, and I never had to worry about it slopping around and flopping and gas getting all over the place. And anyway.
See, that's why I married you.
Yeah, because I know how to cut funnels out of plastic milk containers. And that story is 50 years old. And today, I just happened to look at that tank and an empty gallon of milk, and it triggered that off. And I'm not AC/DC. I'm
OCD.
OCD.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
OCD.
Yeah, that's what I am. EIEIO. What do we got going on here?
That was a good thing, honey.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X Magazine, available at your newsstand now, also available online. We're going back way back to 1966. What happened? The Dogger was born. Happy birthday, Ron Lachine, the Dogger himself, and one of the all-time fastest, most stylish, and most controversial riders in the history of AMA Supercross and motocross. Some of Ron Lachine's best ever races, the 1988 Motocross of Nations that happened in France, where Ronnie went 1-1 to win the individual and the overall. He joined by Team USA's Rick Johnson and Jeff Ward to get on top of that podium. And of course, 1985, 125cc national champion. Happy birthday, Ron Lachine. 1975, the Anaheim era of Supercross began on this night in 1975 with the running of something called the American Motocross Finals. The race was not part of any series, and it brought together some of America's top riders of the era for a race around the track built in a stadium where the California Angels played. Mike Goodwin Stadium Motocross Group was the promoter of the already successful Super Bowl of motocross at the Los Angeles Coliseum. For instance, the eventual winner of this track, on this track that was designed by Jimmy Weiner, was Tony DeStefano of Team Suzuki. He rode a Works 250, while Gaston Galen Mosier finished second on a Wheelsmith 440 two-stroke Mako. Team Honda's Marty Smith showed up on a screaming 125 Works bike and actually set the fastest lap time of the night, although his engine seized by the third moto. And get this, Desert Racer Al Baker showed up on a four-stroke Honda and had the loudest bike in the race, although he didn't do very well. Very, very interesting times there at Anaheim. 1986, Johnny O'Mara appeared on the cover of the December 17, 1986 Cycle News to talk about his new ride with Suzuki. O'Mara, a team member of Team Honda from 1981 to 1986, as well as a Mugen Honda rider, and his rookie season of 1980, did not have a contract renewed for 1987 as the time and the team was going in a little bit of a different direction with David Bailey, Rick Johnson, and Mickey Diamond on the 125s. O'Mara famously took out his anger on the rest of the field at the 1986 Motocross des Nations in Maggiore, Italy, racing his 125 to a 2-2 finish behind only his big bike teammates, Bailey and Johnson. O'Mara would not fare well on a Suzuki as he did on his Honda. He did not win another AMA National or Supercross, but he did have an AMA Hall of Fame career. That's it for this week in the history of motocross. You want to become a sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A. You want to hit about 40,000 people a week, plus people sharing the show. It's on YouTube. It's on a cable channel in Long Island, New York. Why don't you get a hold of me? I will get you a sponsorship opportunity package. I want to thank Fast Guy Stuff, Racer X, and Ben's Mini Bike Podcast for all being supporters of the show. They all share the show. Ben's podcast, I've got the old flyer up here. He had one on December 8th. He's got a new episode coming up early January. Probably, you know what it is? I know what it is. It's the same day as, it's Sunday night, January 12th, same day as the York Swap Meet. So if you're not going to the York Swap Meet and you're home on Sunday night, January 12th, put on the Vintage Mini Bike Podcast with Ben and his crew. Oh, God. When will we stop announcing celebrations of life? Celebration of Life happens for Malcolm Smith. That happens on January 12th from 2 to 6 at Malcolm Smith Motorsports. You better RSVP. There'll be a lot of people there. I'm sure there'll be food. I'm sure they can only fit so many people in the building. Malcolm, of course, with tens of thousands of fans following him throughout his career. That's Malcolm Smith. Celebration of Life. There will be a celebration of life for Scott Burnworth too later on in January. From what I understand, it will be held privately by invitation only. All right. What else is happening here? We've got the Hangover race that happens at the Hangover Classic Grand Prix race. That's on Shad Road in Marysville. That's where the CZ race is just about every year, I think. So if you're not doing anything on New Year's Day, you can go to the Hangover race, or you can come to my house for my birthday party. That's right. Sue's having a surprise party for me, but she doesn't think I know it. Anyway, Suze, what do you got? The dog? Where's she know? Call him over by you. Oh, no, call him over here. Come here. Come here, Gene. Gene, come here, boy. Okay. You got a grooming. You look beautiful. Once again, if you donate, I got it. This is important, Gene. Hang on. If you donate to the Burner Fund on the GoFundMe page, I will send you some beautiful embroidered hats, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A and Amsoil. Okay, just let me know. Just send me some proof that you made a donation to the Burnworth Foundation. Okay, that's it for Vintage Motocross Q&A this week. I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We are going to be doing something next week. I don't know what. Obviously, we will not do it on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, which will be on a Tuesday, and we will not do it on Wednesday, which will be Christmas. Same thing goes for the following week on New Year's. But I'm going to bring you something somehow. Maybe we'll move the show to Thursday night. I don't really know yet. Maybe I'll get one of my buddies to do an interview with me. We'll put something together, okay? In the meantime, may God bless you and your family this Christmas season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from both Susie and I and Gino and Rocco at Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll see you next time. Hey, if you're still with me, I got a little video here from Scott Burnworth. I wanted to play it during the show. It just didn't seem to be the right time. I am going to play it right now, and then that's it for us here at Vintage Motocross.
Hey, it's Scott Burnworth. I'm here at the SoCal Vintage MX Classic. Have a great time. We have a huge turnout. We've got a lot of legends coming. We're doing a special Marty Smith tribute class. We're going to have a great time out here at Glen Helen, remembering a good friend, Marty, and his wife, Nancy. And we're going to have some fun vintage racing on a really nice track. Probably the biggest turnout we've had so far in 10 years. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the SoCal Vintage MX Classic. If you missed it, you definitely got to be here next year.
SoCal Vintage MX Classic 11, my buddy Scott Burnworth, and of course his wonderful wife Debbie, did a wonderful job putting the race on down there this weekend. The Marty Smith.
That was a rerun of something that happened back in 2020, 21, 22, something like that, from Scott Burnworth. That's it from Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll see you next time.